Oh, football fans, we are now entering the final 4 weeks of the season. And again, there are no more bye weeks. Everybody plays each week until we have a finale and all things are settled. But we're now entering week 15, and the playoff picture got a little bit crazy. So let's take a look at where things stand. In the AFC, you have the Broncos and Patriots tied atop the conference at 11-2, but it's Denver who has the tiebreaker, the 7-2 conference record, just edging New England's 6-2 conference record. Oh, and just a side note: the Patriots and Broncos, they don't play each other this year. Um, at number three, it's the Jacksonville Jaguars at 9-4, standing on top of the AFC South all by themselves. And at number four, it's the Steelers back in first place in the AFC North at 7-6. As for the wild cards, the Chargers improved to 9-4 with that win, with their win over the Eagles in that crazy Monday night game. They and the Bills have the same record, but it's LA's 7-2 conference record that puts them ahead of the Bills, who are at number six. And at number seven, it's the Houston Texans. The Texans have been winning quite a bit lately, and their latest win moved them over the playoff line. They have the same record as the Colts at 8-5, but Houston's head to head puts them ahead. Houston beat Indy once, but the rematch will take place in the end of the season. So yeah, Indy, who is so desperate that they actually brought Philip Rivers out of retirement, is now behind the playoff line after being number one in the conference about a month or so ago. Also behind the playoff line, the Ravens, Chiefs, yes, the Chiefs, and the Dolphins all at 6-7, and the Bengals, they're just there. But yeah, nearly everybody behind the AFC's playoff line can be eliminated. The Bengals, Dolphins, and the Chiefs, a little bit more on that later, can be eliminated from playoff contention completely. Baltimore can be eliminated from the wild card, but not the division. While the NFC had their crazy changes, it's still a bit more clear. First off, the Rams at 10-3 stand alone at number one in the conference, but look who's number two. The Green Bay Packers, with the big win over Chicago, moved to the first place in the NFC North, where we belong, and we are now at the number two spot. Philadelphia Eagles, who have lost three straight, dropped to 8-5. They're still number three, and Tampa Bay Buccaneers are at number four at 7-6. The wild card positions: the Seattle Seahawks are also 10-3, but the Rams' current head-to-head lead puts the Rams ahead and puts Seattle at the number five spot. Heads up next Thursday: Rams, Seahawks in Seattle. At number six is the San Francisco 49ers, who were one of the last four teams who were on the bye last week. And the Bears, who were number one last week, who were number one a week prior, are now down to number seven at 9-4. Not much behind the playoff line in the NFC. The Detroit Lions at 8-5. Carolina Panthers also at 7-6. They're tied for first in that NFC South. And then there's the Dallas Cowboys at 6-1. They're hanging by a thread, but it's only because Philadelphia lost that the Cowboys can't be eliminated this week. The Vikings, however, can. At 5-8, their next loss will be their last, or if the Bears or Lions win, Minnesota's going to be done. Now, we talked about eliminations, but for the first time this season, we have some clinching scenarios. So who could get in the playoffs this week? The Broncos. They're 11-2, but they sure as hell don't play like it. They have to be the worst 11-2 team I've ever seen in NFL history. It's crazy. The way they barely beat teams that other teams are just flattened just boggles my mind. Like they needed overtime to barely beat the Washington Commanders, and let's not forget that Thursday game against the Raiders that was 10-7. It's weird, but there they are, 11-2, winners of 10 the conference via tiebreaker. And Denver can get in this week. They're winning in. They control their own destiny. All they have to do is win. But they're playing the Packers, so yeah, forget that. There's also four ways they can get in if they tie. If they tie and either Indy loses and tie, either Indy loses or ties, Houston loses or ties, the Chargers lose or the Jags lose, and that'll get them in too. Even if they lose, and they will, um, the Broncos can get in with a Houston loss or tie and an Indy loss or tie, but both teams can't tie. It has to be one has to do one has to tie, the other has to lose, pretty much. So yeah, it's gonna be an interesting week for the Denver Broncos. I feel like we're watching a reboot here. It's 2025, and the Patriots are on top of the conference, pretty much tied for a top of the conference. I feel like we're watching a reboot here because what happens in a reboot? Usually, the reboot, the side character or supporting character gets elevated to like a big role. In this case, it's Mike Vrabel. Mike Vrabel was a cog on those Patriots championship years, and now here he is, the head coach. And they're 11-2. They've also won 10 in a row, and they're just doing so well. As for New England, New England can clinch this week too. They have the exact same scenarios as Denver does, so there's no need for me to like repeat them all. However, there is an added bonus. New England is winning in, but also if they win the division. This is because they're playing the Bills. It's the rematch against Buffalo, and of course New England won the first matchup. New England is up 2 over the Bills with 4 to go. If they beat the Bills, they'll be up 3 with 3 to go, which means the best the Bills can do is tie them, and New England will have the tiebreaker, swept the season series. So all the Patriots have to do is beat the Bills, and they win the AFC East. Only one NFC team can clinch this week, and it's the LA Rams. The Rams, I remember, of course, each of the last 2 years, they would start slow, they would start late, but they would pick it up later. They would start like 1-4 or 2-4, whatever, but then they would win games late and get in. This year, they decided to start on time. But the Rams are just doing it all. They're 10-3. They're number one in the conference. They are barely in first place via tiebreaker, and they play the Lions this week. And all the Rams have to do is beat the Lions, and they're in, plain and simple. Now, that's the last of the clinching scenarios. However, this is a special season, so I have to mention it can happen, folks. The Kansas City Chiefs can be eliminated this week. And here's the crazy thing. There's 42 different ways they can be eliminated because a lot of it includes like Jacksonville or Buffalo clinching that straight to victory tiebreaker and all of that jazz, but I'm not going to get into all of that. I only want to get into the simple scenarios for getting eliminated. And the main 3 go as follows. If they lose, Buffalo wins or ties, Jacksonville wins or ties, and either Houston wins or Indy wins or both Houston and Indy tie. The Chiefs are eliminated. They're also eliminated if they lose, Buffalo wins or ties, Houston wins, and Indy wins or ties. Those are the simple scenarios. The rest includes that straight to victory stuff. I'm not going to get into that, but yeah, the Chiefs' days are numbered this year, and the Chiefs are at home against the Chargers. So, yeah, that's going to be an interesting week. All eyes going to be on that game. And that is a look at the playoff picture entering the final 4 weeks of the season. If you like this video, click the like button. If you're on YouTube, click subscribe if you want more. If you're on TikTok and Instagram, feel free to hit that follow button. And the link above, that's to my story on Vocal. Check it out when you can. And next time I talk football, I will recap Week 15. And hopefully there'll be some congratulatory news regarding some teams clinching and possibly the end of the Chiefs season. So stay tuned.